I expect Farm Aid 2. I haven't yet been on stage. I go on in about an hour. And I expect Farm Aid 2 to fall right in behind Farm Aid 1 for me as a career highlight.
You have not been on stage yet. When did it start?
It began at 8 o'clock this morning Central Time, and it will go until 1 a.m. Central Time.
How many performers?
Oh, there are at least 80 to 90 acts, and at least 65 or 70 of those acts are musical.
Yeah, is this with all the personal touch of Willie Nelson?
Yes, Willie's been on and off stage all day long, and has performed with a good number of people all day long. And, of course, his performance is still yet to come, too. He'll wrap it up the last half hour.
A couple of other things, John. Why is the country and western performer, more than any other show business person or type, the closest to his fan?
Well, I think because of the subject matter of the songs, Larry, as much as anything else, they deal with basic down-to-earth things. Most of the songs do. And so that attracts the basic down-to-earth people.
In other words, if you were going to be above it or removed or hoity-toity, you wouldn't make it in the country western field.
No, I don't think so at all. And that's one of the things I like. You know, another thing about the country, the whole country thing, is that the fans are loyal. You know, you have a greater chance at singing for a longer time in country than you do in any other form of music, probably.
John, where do you go from here? You working again this weekend?
Working again tomorrow night at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, so we're just going up the road. And but while we're talking, I'd sure like to encourage everybody to donate money at 1-800-FARM-AID, and or they can write Post Office Box Farm Aid, Austin, Texas, and to make their pledges. And a lot of the money is going for legal defense. That's the one area that I'm most involved with as honorary chairman of the Family Farm Defense Fund, and national legal organization on behalf of family farmers, and we sure need the money.
How's that battle going?
Well, it's really just beginning to heat up. The Defense Fund was able to become operational thanks to a donation from Farm Aid 1, and the ensuing time has been spent researching the best cases. One of the problems with farm defense in the past has been taking on cases that weren't well prepared, and they lost them and so forth. We're trying to research things out very well. We filed our first case in Texas, as it turns out, and we're working on cases now. Well, there are some 300 cases that have been identified as worthy, but it'll take a lot of money to take those on.
Many farmers there today?
Well, yes, there are. I'm sure there are because of the response of the crowd. I don't guess anybody's taken a poll, but I'm sure there are thousands here.
Performers, I'm told by many, often work harder when they work for nothing. True with you?
Well, I think I work as hard one way as the other, but of course my adrenaline flows a little more just because of this cause. I'm so involved with it and dedicated to it and believe in it so much, and that makes a difference when I hit the stage for this cause.
All right, the number again is 1-800-FARM-AID, right?
Exactly, and you can make credit card pledges at that number, or you can write Post Office Box Farm Aid, Austin, Texas.
John, thanks a load.
Okay, Larry, good to talk to you.
Same here. John Conley, terrific country and western star and very active in this movement. A lot of them are there just as, of course, to help out, but John obviously very involved with the legal defense. Westwood One Mutual is carrying the Farm Aid 2 concert across the United States on hundreds of radio stations, and the pledge number is 1-800-FARM-AID. This is a beautiful setting in New York Harbor, a picture-perfect day, and a wonderful night. You see every star in the night sky, clear as a bell. I don't know the visibility, but it's got to be past 30 to 35 miles, and practically every ship, launch, little boat, big boat, has left New York Harbor. The remaining few are on the way out. The ferries are transporting the folks back from Governor's Island to the mainland of downtown Manhattan, and certainly day 2 of this Liberty Weekend has been an enormous success. In fact, I've been here since 11 o'clock this morning, 12 hours. I did 3 hours this afternoon from noon to 3 with Bernie Gershon of the WR News team, and we had a heck of a day with people like Walter Cronkite and Larry Grossman, the president of NBC, and News. We had some day here today, and so I broadcast from noon to 3, and then got a little rest and a little nap. Couldn't get back over to the Mario Cuomo party because they couldn't guarantee me getting back here. So I have been literally at this spot for 12 hours. We'll come back, and when we do, we'll meet Admiral Paul Yost the Commandant of the United States Coast Guard. You're listening to The Larry King Show, back after these messages.
We asked 1,000 doctors if they were stranded on a desert island, which one medicine would they want along? Tylenol, extra-strength Tylenol, Advil, or Bayer? More doctors chose Bayer aspirin, nearly 2-to-1 over extra-strength Tylenol, more than 8-to-1 over Advil. Doctors chose Bayer, the wonder drug. And since doctors chose Bayer, shouldn't you? Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders. Use only as directed.
Just in time for your summer painting project, Sears is having a 4th of July paint sale. Get $7 off our best-selling interior paint. Easy Living 10 Satin Flat, now just $9.99 a gallon. And $8 off Weather Beater 10, our best-selling exterior flat, $8.99 a gallon. So get your paint now.
Honey, did you say you'll have a 3-day weekend?
Because the sale ends July 5th.
There's more for your life
In our new century.
at Sears.
Big A, that's where to start. The first letter in auto parts.
We got
Your Big A Auto Parts store's got all the parts you need to do it yourself. But when you need a professional mechanic, we can tell you about some of the best independent pros who know what it takes to keep your car going. So next time, go to Big A first.
The first letter in auto parts. Big A, Big A, Big A.
Looking for a safe aid to weight loss? Your participating Value Right Pharmacy recommends you try Fiber Trim. Now just $3.99 for 100 tablets. Fiber Trim is an all-natural fiber supplement containing absolutely no drugs. If you want to lose weight, try Fiber Trim. Now on special at your Value Right Pharmacy. Use only as directed.
Value Right, Value Right.
Check the yellow pages for your nearest Value Right Pharmacy.
You're listening to The Larry King Show, live from Governor's Island and the 100th birthday of the Statue of Liberty. Here again, Larry King.
Thank you very much, Paul. We're awaiting the arrival of Admiral Paul Yost, the Commandant of the United States Coast Guard. It was the Coast Guard's responsibility to keep this place humming today, and they did a magnificent job. Jim Bohannon is over here, and while the Admiral is on his way, we're going to call Jim over for a few minutes, as Jim has been, of course, doing America in the Morning here this week, and we'll do his show from the studios of WOR tomorrow night. He's going to have great guests, the co-authors of Roadside America, which is a very funny book. Jim, what was it? Oh, you've been here how long, Jim? You've been here all week?
It seems like all week, Larry. It really does. But I wanted to stick around tonight. This was my one night to enjoy the visit up here as opposed to work. And
I was going to ask you why you stayed.
I wanted to see it. I didn't think I would ever see anything like this again, probably. And it was just marvelous. It was stereophonic. It was cinemascope. It was everything. It was Easter and Memorial Day and July 4th all wrapped up in one.
From the news standpoint, is this a tough thing to cover?
It is in terms, I think, of trying to find true significance. After all, it is an event. It's contrived, I suppose, to the extent that nothing really, quote, happens. It doesn't really affect anything. It's all planned in the beginning, and you know what's going to happen. So you're really telling people. You can tell people with pretty much an exact outlook. This will happen at this time, and this will happen at that time. It's not like covering, for example, a close political convention where an outcome can change.
Also, are you objective or subjective? Do you say things if you're covering a fireworks? This is why I'm not a newsman. Do you say, wow?
I think you're allowed to say wow. On the other hand, of course, if something really messes up badly, then you describe that. For example, I did a commentary during the fireworks for my Monday Morning America in the Morning program, in which I chronicled just a few of the thoughts about the weekend, and a few of them were negative, because I ran across a few negative things this week. But in the main, sure, I think that if you don't cheerlead on a night like this, you're not a human being.
How about how well New York did?
I thought New York did very well. I really did. Considering the tremendous problems they face, the people coming in. This is not a city, I don't think, that is meant to handle a lot of people who don't know the city. For example, I went out on a feature the other day in Pelham Bay Park, the north part of the Bronx. I had no idea what I was undertaking. And a lot of greenhorns like me can clog up the transportation system in New York City. And I'm sure I contributed. I really did. So I think New York City did very well. Just because of the number of people here who don't know New York City. You need to know this town to get around, to get along.
You want to hang around a few minutes?
I can, sure, whatever.
All right, we're going to welcome to our microphones Admiral Paul Yost, who is Commandant of the United States Coast Guard. You did a hell of a show today, Admiral. This wasn't a bad little feature you put on here.
Thank you, Larry.
The Commandant means that's a title I associate with the Marine Corps. The same title works in the Coast Guard then, right? You're in charge.
That's right. That's the head of the Coast Guard. I would point out, by the way, the Coast Guard is the oldest of our seagoing services. That's the Coast Guard, Navy, and Marine Corps. So we had the title Commandant, I think, before they did. I wouldn't swear to that, Larry, but I think so.
How long have you been Commandant?
30 days. Exactly a month, Larry.
Appointed by?
By President Reagan.
You're an admiral. How many years in the Guard?
Well, I graduated from the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut in 1951. Now, don't subtract, because that's a lot of years ago.
Why'd you choose it?
I thought that I wanted to be in an armed force, but I wanted to be in an armed force that had a humanitarian overtone, so that in peacetime, instead of training for war and doing nothing else but, we had other missions. And that's the great beauty of Coast Guard service.
No regrets?
No regrets.
But Coast Guardsmen die in war, too, don't they not?
Well, that's right. We're one of the 5 armed forces. I had an opportunity to talk to President Reagan today and mentioned to him, and he reaffirmed that we're one of the 5 armed forces, and he's our commander-in-chief.
Yeah, in fact, someone told, I think your historian said today, that you lost more people in World War I.
Well, in World War I, the Coast Guard had more losses per capita than any other armed service. That's right.
You were funneling those ships across.
That's right. We were doing a lot of convoy work. We were doing a lot of landing work as well, landing craft work.
All right, let's discuss the logistics of a day like today. First, were you based in a kind of command control?
I was here as a visitor today, really, from Washington, D.C. The officer in charge here is Commander Deese Thompson, who's the commander of the Atlantic area and the commander of the 3rd Coast Guard District.
So it was his show today?
It was his show today, and he had it delegated well out. For instance, Larry, out in this harbor, we had almost 350 Coast Guard and Coast Guard auxiliary boats. And each one of those boats was in communications with a command center. Now can you imagine 350 people on the same circuit? Of course, we couldn't do that.
Trying to imagine the guy at the command center.
That's right. So we had it divided really into 5 sectors, 5 primary frequencies and 5 secondary frequencies, and each sector, geographic sector, was worked separately. It worked like a charm. It's still working. The major work is still going on as we get all of these civilian vessels, about 30,000 of them, I'm guessing, back to home port.
I must ask you, and Jim, you could jump in anytime. Where did they all go? This was a water full of boats, and they're gone.
You wonder if there's that many docks in all of New York Harbor. And, of course, they came out of the Sound. They came as far south as Cape May, New Jersey. Some of them will stay anchored for the night. Some of them will go into whatever pier they can. Some of them will go home tonight.
But, I mean, most of them are gone.
Yes.
And that movement of them going was incredible. Now, and all those blue lights were your vessels, right?
Everything with a blue light was a Coast Guard vessel, and it just looked like a myriad of blue lights out here. And, Larry, we could still see some as they guide these boats into the channel and towards home, and encourage them to keep their speed down, keep their wake down, and that kind of thing.
Jim Bohannon's here with us, too, Admiral. He may have a question.
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact, Commandant. I noticed during the day, at the time when first battleship Iowa came through, then the tall ships, that both the Coast Guard vessels and also the Customs Service were quite adamant about keeping boats away from the area and were using their megaphones or their PA systems and the like. And yet there seemed to be a few private boats which were very close. Was I misreading that, or were some people privileged and other people not?
Well, I don't think any were particularly privileged. We were trying to give the tall ships adequate sea room, give them enough room so that they could maneuver. And if there was anybody privileged, I sure don't know about it. I'd have to ask Admiral Thompson about it, and I'm sure Admiral Thompson would say it.
You started already, huh, Bohannon?
Yeah.
Got an investigation.
Already, yes.
This man don't fool around. 30 days already, he's got... What were the number one problems the Guard faced today?
I don't think there were any problems today that we didn't expect. There were a lot of boats. There were anchorages designated for boats under 100 feet and other anchorages for boats over 100 feet. It was keeping those boats in anchorage and keeping them out of the channel, keeping them out of the safety zone. There were big safety zones set for the fireworks because you could see what would happen if there would be a spectator fleet underneath those fireworks. And it was keeping the boats in line, and that wasn't a big problem. It was a very orderly, seaman-like crowd.
Yeah, I'm going to remark on that and ask for your votes. Oh, by the way, the privileged votes may have been mistaken as what? Coast Guard Auxiliary.
We had 350.
That could explain it. They did not appear to be official. They were not marked.
That's right.